Good day, everybody. Meteorologist Mark Mullner here. Thank you for joining me for this edition of Winter Weather Eastern. Yep, we're tracking another winter storm across the area of parts of the Northeast. We're going to break it all down for you, show you what the models are doing. Models are in pretty good agreement for Thursday night into Friday. Friday night, we'll be looking at significant snowfall accumulation potential here. I'll break down all the areas that could see the heaviest snowfall and ice accumulations. And don't forget, if you're new to the channel, subscribe, hit the bell button. Down below, there is a question or comment section. I love to read your questions or comments. Also, there is a timestamp section down below. If you wish to skip ahead, or if you want to watch a section over and over and over again, go right ahead. Let's get right into it. All right, and winter storm impacts here. This is the impact you'll be feeling, anywhere from a slight in the green to as much as a moderate. And we don't have any extreme, thankfully, but we are into some red zones here where we'll see upwards of 6 to as much as 10, as much as a foot of snow. So 6 inches to 10 inches in a lot of this red zone here in the Northeast, as much as a foot, closer to places like Boston, parts of the Catskills and Poconos here. And then freezing rain will be a big thing here into Ohio. Cleveland, you'll see all snow, thankfully. So you'll see significant accumulation there. But then here into western Ohio, central Ohio, you'll see freezing rain. And this stretches down into parts of Illinois and Missouri as well. All right, taking a look at snowfall. This is my official first call snowfall map here. Take a look at this. Anywhere into the darker purple, 6 to 8 inches, Cleveland, Erie, Buffalo, Syracuse, Binghamton, Wilkes-Barre, Scranton. Over towards Concord, you're right on the edge there. Portland, you're on the edge. And then in this later, more pinkish color, 8 to 12 inches, just east of Binghamton, Albany, into the Boston area. And then 3 to 6 inches into this darker blue zone, suburbs just north of New York City, just south of Scranton here in the southern Poconos, parts of extreme southern New England towards the coast here, over towards Cape Cod and maybe northern Nantucket. But you'll probably be more in the 2 to 3 inches out on Nantucket. And then over towards parts of northern part of Ohio here, although you'll be in the 6 to 8 inches here in Cleveland. And more mixing will be going on, and we'll talk about that mixing here coming right up. All right, let's take ice totals here across the Northeast into this lighter pink zone. As this low pressure moves up across western Pennsylvania, the initial low. We'll see some ice, a lot of overrunning here in Pennsylvania, snow quickly changing over to sleet and freezing rain. And freezing rain is going to be the big problem here in central Ohio, stretching into part of northwestern Pennsylvania. We'll see 2/10 to as much as more than a 1/4 inch, almost up to 1/3 of an inch of ice here. This is northwest of Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, you should stay rain most of the time. You'll see an initial shot of sleet and freezing rain before changing over. State College, anywhere from 1/10 to 2/10 of an inch of ice stretching across Pennsylvania, the I-80 corridor here, where your snowfall totals will be cut down a bit due to sleet and freezing rain heading north of New York City into southern New England as well. All right, high-resolution Euro snowfall. Let's put this into motion. Look at this. Albany, 10 inches, right around a foot in Boston, 8 inches there in Binghamton, 7 inches in Elmira, 5 to 6 in Syracuse, 4 inches in Buffalo, 5 inches in Erie, 3 to 4 inches in Cleveland, New York City Central Park, right around 3 inches. Look at that, northwest New Jersey, 7 inches, 7 inches in the southern Poconos, right around Mount Pocono. And look at that, the Catskills getting out about a foot, right around 6 to 8 inches up here in the Adirondacks. And Green and White Mountains up here about 6 to 7 inches. Portland, Maine about 5 inches. But there it is. This is interesting because if you take a look at the GFS, put this into motion, look at this. There is a similar track in the low. I'll show you both surface maps momentarily on the models. But look at this, bringing 6, 8, much as 9 inches in the Cleveland area across northern Pennsylvania. 7 inches in Erie, 7 inches in Buffalo, but only 5 inches in Binghamton, 5 inches in Elmira, Wilkes-Barre, Scranton. Depending on where you are, 3 to 6 inches, elevation dependent. 10 inches in Albany and 14 inches there in Boston, right around 7 inches in Cape Cod, 4 inches on Long Island, and 4 inches in New York City Central Park. 6 to 8 inches up here in the Adirondack. So what is at play here? What's more likely to happen? Even though these both similar solutions have similar surface map tracks here. So let's get into that. We'll take a look at surface and precipitation here, and we put this into motion. Make sure we have the latest run there. GFS, moving that system out Tuesday night into Wednesday. Drying, continuing into Wednesday, Thursday night. High pressure cresting over southern Ontario and Quebec here. And there it is. This is after sunset on Thursday evening. We bring a burst of heavier snow into the Cleveland area on the GFS. And slowly mixing here initially in Pittsburgh. There's a lot of mixing going on here. You'll notice that on the GFS, a burst of heavier snow continuing overnight Friday, bringing at least 2 to 4, 3 to 5 inches into this area. These heavier snowfall totals, look at this. Heavy sleet and then heavy ice here across much of Pennsylvania. This is right around sunrise Friday morning. And there's that low pressure taking a track across northwest Pennsylvania, bringing sleet, changing the snow to sleet in Binghamton and Elmira. Freezing rain across parts of central Pennsylvania and the southern Poconos. So the GFS really brings this low well up into western New York State, bringing this nose of warm air into the Binghamton, Cortland area, Wilkes-Barre, Scranton. So it is interesting to note it pushes the heavier snow here into central New England, right around Boston. Look at that. And then it pretty well ends the snow just before sunset here, before pulling out. Now, if you take a look at the high-resolution Euro, move that system out, that first rainy system, you get some lake effect on the backside here. Take a look at, there's Thursday, a clear day, until we get to, there's that high pressure cresting into Quebec. And look at this. Snow breaking out here across northern Ohio, northwestern Pennsylvania. This is after sunset. So the Euro is a little bit slower here, bringing heavier snow here into northern Pennsylvania. You notice a difference here, though. It is a colder solution. Even though it's following a similar path, it's because the low pressure is a little bit behind here on the Euro, which, take a look, the expansion of snow is greater, it seems, on the Euro as well. We do start to get that mixing. Pittsburgh staying rain most of the event. And if we take a look at, there it is, for your, this is Friday here, right around sunrise. Take a look at that. We got heavy icing here across parts of Pennsylvania. It's debatable how much, how heavy this icing is going to be, how much will be sleet and freezing rain. And take a look here. We get the snowfall, but it is interesting to note, just before noon here, we start to get some mixing here in the parts of the Binghamton area, Wilkes-Barre, Scranton. So if we bring this back a little bit and then put this back into motion, the Euro is still indicating a pretty fair amount of snow, like around Binghamton, Wilkes-Barre, Scranton, up to Albany. But then right around noontime, it does start to mix out a little bit, and then we start to fill that back in with colder air as this low pressure moves off the coast, and we get that re-energizing of the new low pressure. So there's where the low center would be, the primary low moving to the secondary low. So it is a little bit colder than the GFS solution. And then we end just before sunset here. All right, so taking a look at the Euro, we have that first system in the northeast, all that rain, a slug of showers and thunderstorms here across the southeast. That will fizzle out throughout the night into Wednesday morning. There's that next system, cold high in the northern plains. Cold high will start to develop here into the northeast. We get some convection here on your early Thursday morning, so we'll have to watch the potential for maybe a few severe cells here into parts of eastern Texas, northern Louisiana, into parts of Mississippi and Alabama here. So as this continues, we'll get some wintry precipitation here, especially Dallas-Fort Worth on northward here into Tulsa, Oklahoma. And we'll continue that throughout the day. Heavy freezing rain kicking in with some snow on the north side here. This is for your right around noon on Thursday. High pressure really building in that cold air here across the northeast, because there it is, Friday. There's that system. This is early Friday morning. We have lines of convection here, so we'll have to watch some of these stronger cells for potential severe weather. But there it is across the northeast. High pressure slowly retreating to the northeast, but keeping cold air funneled, especially at the surface here in the northeast before that secondary low takes over. And there it is, sliding off the coast into Saturday, clearing out for the weekend. So, GFS, here we go. There's that next system, looking pretty similar to the Euro. It is a little bit further north, though, if you take a look at that. It is a little bit faster because of that, riding a little bit off of a less stronger trough here. But still, we have this large expansion of wintry precipitation, and there's that low pressure with some of these stronger cells. This would be early, right around midnight, Thursday night into Friday morning here. Take a look at this. A slug of moisture, stronger cell potential here across parts of Mississippi, Alabama, maybe North Georgia into Tennessee. And there we go. Low pressure moving up across western New York. It is a bit further to the northwest than it is the Euro, so that's why the GFS is a little bit later on snowfall accumulations across parts of upstate New York into northern Pennsylvania. But there's that secondary low taking over. There's a few minute details here that are to be ironed out that can be expected. And here on the GFS, I wanted to quickly show you the ice accumulation potential here. These aren't completely totally accurate. These models are not great at predicting freezing rain, but when you start to get into totals like this, especially across northern Arkansas here, 3/4 of an inch of ice, you have to start to pay attention to there, because you know that at least you'll see 1/4 to 1/2 an inch of ice. Up and through parts of Ohio, central Ohio here, probably 1/10 to 1/4 inch on average. And if we get up here into the northeast, let's take a look at this. The GFS painting about 1/10 to 1/4 inch across a widespread area of Pennsylvania here, even up into about 1/10 of an inch into the Binghamton area in southern New England. GFS, or the ECMWF Euro high resolution. Let's get into that. This is interesting because showing, yeah, I don't know. This is definitely way too much here into southern Pennsylvania. I do buy about 1/10 to maybe up to 1/4 inch, especially in the higher elevations, but this is just way, way, way overdone. Look at that. The Euro doesn't even get any freezing rain, barely up into the Binghamton, Elmira area. So the Euro definitely is colder, even with the low pressure moving here to the northwest and then sliding across northern Pennsylvania with the secondary low off the coast here. So I think the Euro is more bent on more sleet here. I do think the freezing rain line will be very, very, very thin, though. So I don't think it's going to be this widespread of a severe freezing rain outbreak here. All right, so let's go to the NAM for the severe weather outlook here. If we take a look, we put this into motion. It would help if we had the precipitation aspect. Here we go. So initial shot here, there's that first system. Got some freezing rain up here into parts, sleet and freezing rain starting lightly across the Mississippi and Ohio River Valley here. We'll slowly transition over to the rain. There's the first low pressure. Now here it is, late Friday night. We'll have to watch the potential here for some isolated cells here on the southern end of this low pressure. But it's just, yeah, the NAM, it's not looking that impressive. Let's go over to the GFS, or the Euro here for that matter. We'll start off, we'll put this into motion here. Some of these stronger cells, there it is. This is early Friday morning. So some of these stronger cells that are moving through could contain damaging wind, large hail, down and through parts of Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, into parts of central Tennessee. I don't think there'll be too much up here, though. This will be more elevated, colder top convection here, and there's that low pressure. And by this point, it'll wash out. So we're not looking at a widespread severe weather outbreak here. That's really good news. All right, let's look into the southeast for any potential severe weather. This would be mainly Friday morning. There it is. This would be your shot here across Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama. Some of the stronger cells moving through. It's probably a squall line at this point by around noon, or this would be about 8 a.m. on Friday morning here, but that slowly fizzles as the convection outpaces the energy, and most of the energy takes over across the northeast at this point. All right, now taking a look briefly at the Euro, the high-resolution Euro for this 500 millibar heights anomalies. We'll take a look at the trend going further out here. You can see across the northeast, the east coast. You're probably wondering, okay, this is the 25th here. This is when the snowstorm will be taking hold here across the northeast. Look at this. This is a ridge. Well, this is an overrunning type storm. So you got cold high. We have the luxury of having the cold high to the north, supplying that cold air. And despite this being a ridge and this system moving up like this, we have a lot of overrunning, and we have enough cold air to keep that all snow. So we've put that into motion. You can see even to next week, Sunday, Monday, yeah, we get a little bit of pinwheeling of the polar piece of the polar vortex breaking off. But look at that. Pretty much all week next week, we are looking at a lot of ridging. This takes us through Friday, March 4th. So there you have it. And Derek Rentschler from the Lebanon County, Pennsylvania area back on February 19th. Take a look at the snow squall moving through his area, picking up a quick, this snow squall had anywhere from about a half an inch to an inch in many areas. It fell in pretty much a 10-minute period of time. Some areas had wind gusts over 40, 50 miles per hour. This was associated with the Arctic front. And Derek Rentschler with the snow geese this time of year. He always features the snow geese that's propagating here across. Look at this big body of water. Not a lot of snow out, though, but quite a bit of snow geese here. Take a look at this. There's some flying up in the air here, and they're pretty much going across this entire length of this body of water. So nice captures here, Derek, with the snow geese this time of year. All right, taking a look at Joe Drehos from the Johnson City, New York area back on February 19th this past Saturday. Take a look at the snow squall that was moving through the Binghamton, Johnson City, New York area. And as we take a look, nice calm before the storm. You see coming in from the west over here. And taking a look at that, whiteout conditions were ensuing. Let's show you this time lapse. I'm not going to show you all 14 minutes, but we'll skip through it here. It's a whole 14 minutes starting off real light snow. And as we progress through the video here, take a look at this snow. Watch how quickly we go to whiteout conditions with this Arctic front. A line of very potent, heavy snow, and with wind gusts up to 40, 45, even 50 miles per hour in some areas. Look at that, whiteout conditions covering the road within 4 minutes there. Quite remarkable, these snow squalls. And if you ever lived in one of those snowbelt areas off Lake Erie or Lake Ontario, they are even more intense than this. Nice capture there, Joe. All right, and taking a look at the ice along in the Susquehanna area. Take a look at this. Joe captured some nice ice. Look at this, was up and down the Susquehanna River. All this ice that had broken up over the coming last week or two. We had all these warm temperatures, then cold temperatures, warm temperatures. We had all those Arctic temperatures back in January. And take a look at all this ice that is piled up. This is a tremendous amount of ice here. Nice captures here. Joe Drehos from the Johnson City, New York area. All right, let's take a look at the northeast here. We're starting off with Wednesday, that cold front slicing through. These will be earlier morning highs here, the 50s and the 60s. These will be taking a tumble throughout the day. So the big story will be colder, blusterier conditions behind, some maybe lake effect kicking in behind it. It will only be minor, though, so no major accumulation, maybe a morning shower ahead of this front. But as I said, these will be morning highs. Temperatures taking a tumble through the 30s throughout the day. And Thursday, this is where things start to get a little bit interesting. This is mostly towards late afternoon, early evening. Snow potential, maybe a few snow showers here in the lighter blue here across northern Pennsylvania, southern tier of New York. A mixture breaking out after sunset here south of Interstate 80. Temperatures will be pretty marginal. It'll be cooling off. High pressure will be crusting to the north, so that'll keep things interesting into Thursday night. This is where things really get interesting. We have low pressure kicking up across West Virginia. That will be heading more towards western Pennsylvania. Throughout the night, we'll have this darker blue zone. This is where the heaviest snowfall accumulations will occur, anywhere from 4 to as much as 7 inches in this darker blue zone overnight Thursday night. Snow will be changing to sleet and freezing rain across much of Pennsylvania as temperatures rise through the 20s. And look at this, Pittsburgh getting up to 36 throughout the night, 34 in Harrisburg. So we'll see an early mixed start, changing over to rain throughout the night, and the same thing will be happening here on Long Island and parts of New Jersey and southeastern Pennsylvania. Snow will be increasing in aerial coverage from south to north across New York State, upstate New York, into New England as well. So in Cleveland area up to Erie and Buffalo, you'll be socked in with snow. Into Friday, take a look at this, that low pressure heading up across Pennsylvania. We'll be mixing the snow over to sleet and freezing rain, and maybe even some pockets of rain here in the valleys across places like Binghamton, Scranton, State College area, and heading into southern New England as well. So we'll have that warm nose of air. It will stay snow through most of the morning, though, so you pick up at least another 2 to 4 inches in some of these areas. In the darker blue zone, you'll pick up more than 5 inches additional here in this darker blue, places like Albany and Boston. So it'll bring your totals into the 10 to 13-inch range here. Moderate snow is moving north into New England and continuing tapering off the snow slowly throughout the day just before noon in places like Cleveland and Erie here. And we'll be dealing with, the sleet, freezing rain in the morning, changing to rain in a lot of these areas. But it'll be changing back to snow here once this low moves and transfers its energy to the coast. So things will slowly fill back in with snow throughout the day after 4 p.m. once you get this quick warm shot. And look at this, southern Pennsylvania dealing with all rainfall into, there we go. Let's take a look at the southeast. Here we go across the southeast for your Wednesday. Front slicing across the southeast. We'll start to see that overrunning precipitation back here in the form of sleet and freezing rain, North Texas up to Arkansas. But the big story will be rain that will be moving through. Thankfully, the severe weather will be slowly declining by this point, so we won't see those tornado watches and severe thunderstorm watches. Temperatures will still be pretty warm, though. Look at that, 77 in Atlanta, 74 in Birmingham, and holding on to the 80s for the most part in Florida here. So we take a look and progress towards there it is, Thursday. Take a look at this. Front really stalling out. We'll see the chance of some stronger thunderstorms, especially heading on throughout the day, for starting in the morning and stretching probably more towards later part of the day, towards evening across Louisiana, Mississippi, into parts of Alabama. But it'll be mostly confined to those areas. A general area of rain back across this area of the rest of the Deep South, especially up into Tennessee here. We'll see quite a bit of rain up into Kentucky as well. And temperatures staying pretty warm ahead of this front, but we'll be cooling off, 56 in Nashville. But look at that, 80 in Atlanta. And then Thursday night, this front kind of comes back to the north a little bit. So we'll see a lot of that overrunning precipitation continue as ice back here along the mid-Mississippi River Valley on northward back towards North Texas. But look at this. We'll see an area of stronger thunderstorms overnight once again across places like Louisiana over to Mississippi and Alabama. Thankfully, this is not going to be like a widespread outbreak like you have been seeing. And look at this, Florida remaining pretty clear. If you're in Florida right now, you're really enjoying it because it's nice. 58 in Atlanta, 60 in Birmingham, 49 in Raleigh, and 46 in Norfolk for your overnight lows into Friday. That front is on the move, but look at that. It's not making any headway into Florida. Florida has like this high pressure bubble around it. And then look at this. These are washing out showers here, so nothing really much to talk about. And my extended outlook for my hometown viewers, Binghamton to Scranton's Upper Susquehanna River Valley. Take a look at this. Wednesday, all the way through Saturday. Now, keep in mind, that high on Wednesday, 54, that's an early high, crashing through the 30s by 5 p.m. into the 20s by after sunset. And there you have it, 17 for a low. Thursday morning, only getting up to 30, maybe some snow showers starting by sunset. Here it is, Thursday night, snow moving in right around 8, 9 p.m., and continuing steady and heavy throughout the night. This is where most of your snowfall will fall, 4 to 6 inches likely, with an additional 2 to 3 inches on Friday. Now, here's the thing. We could have some warmer air moving in, changing that to a period of sleet, freezing rain, maybe some areas of rain in the valleys afternoon. We'll have to see how much warm air really works in here. If this stays all snow, of course, it would be more snowfall accumulations. But I'm looking at a healthy, basically 6 to 9 inch accumulation here. Before Saturday, we get windy and cold, but sunny skies, 26 degrees. As always, I want to thank you for joining me for this edition of Weather Eastern. Don't forget to give my Facebook page some love. It's also MeteoMark on Facebook. Also, Weather Northeastern. And you can also find me on Twitter at Weather Eastern. Also, MeteoMark.com and WeatherNortheastern.com. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell button so you're alerted when I come out with one of these videos. Question or comment down below. Share the video as much as possible. Thank you for supporting me.